Hello guys, welcome back. In this lecture, as promised, we'll continue doing the rest of the handlers: post, put, and delete. This lab is about post. We'll be doing post handling for the categories and the products as well. So let's get started. Before we begin, let's go see our tables so get familiar with them once more. Go to my tables. Here are the categories, as you remember. Let's view the data. Currently we have 5 categories. We have products, as you can see, product name, product image, ID, category name, category image, and obviously we have a foreign key relationship, that's the category ID. So let's head over and start beginning our post request. So let's head to RESTful services. On the module, let's create a template. No, we go right here. We already started our stuff here. Okay, so from here, let's click on this. And let's now create our template. Actually, there's no need for creating a template because we already have a template. This was a handler that was getting the get as we did before. Now the template is already there. The URI is already there. So let's now create a new handler that will actually do the post. So it's post. Make sure it's PLSQL block. Paste the code. So now we can go by line by line. Here we are creating a variable called L_new ID from table categories, and the data type is whatever the data type of the column ID. If it was an integer, and obviously I know it's an integer, so this will be stored of a number or integer depending on the column data type. This will create a variable that will be stored as a clock. And now we begin the insertion. Post, it deals with insertion of data. So insert into, that's our table name. These are the columns that we would like to insert, and these are the values. And the reason we have 2 dots here is because it will be passed by Postman or by a client requesting to insert that into the table. So as we know, for the parameters are missing, so I'll add them right now. I just cut and pasted the code. So while we are at it, let's go there. We'll add now we'll put this one here. We're at the next row. Get name. And we're going to use as that will be passed in as headers. So I'm just going to put this in name. It could be even by parameters, by URI. I prefer, most preferred by most people is via header. So we'll use Postman to pass the values by header. So this is image name. Let's go check this to get name. Method type, it's in. We are not returning anything, so it's called in. Source type is going to be header. Source type is going to be header. Data type in the database, it's string. So this we know category name is a string and image is a string. So let's apply changes so we don't lose anything. So let's continue. So the values will be coming directly what's passed from Postman. It gets inserted, and then this function as we insert that, if the insertion, let's assume insertion was valid, the ID that was assigned to this will be put into this, returning ID into the variable that we created right here. Next, we need to return a response to the client request in the API. So there's so many ways of doing it. The most preferred way is to return what was inserted. I could reply, say, "Oh, successfully inserted," but most preferred ways, it depends on the use case. I like returning exactly what was inserted, so that confirms that what they typed in was inserted into the table. So what I'm going to do here, what we are doing here is to select, getting a JSON object, right? Whatever has been selected gets stored into here. JSON response, like remember L underscore JSON underscore response is of type club. It gets stored inside here from tables category. From where? From the ID that was actually stored here. So the new value that was inserted, the ID is here. Let's say it was ID 6. We are querying the table to get the values from ID 6. We have now stored it in a JSON object, and this will be a JSON response returned to the client. Now, worst case scenario, there's a problem in insertion, some error happens. It would just come directly into exception when others, and it would say status failure, message, data insertion failed, and whatever the error. This is a system variable that Oracle has, so it will actually display what exactly happens. So the error would be much clearer to the client that's posting the categories into our API. Let's see if everything is going correctly. I'm going to go into my here. We're continuing to use Postman. I'm going to click the three dots here. I'm going to say add a request. We're going to say of type of type post. My apologies. Let's go copy our URI from here that we just did for the Postman right here. As mentioned, the value that we want to be inserted will be passed through the header. So we're going to say ID. Actually, there's no cat. ID is automatically inserted by the database. So we're just going to name, cat image, one image. I'm just going to create a dummy name. So right here. And let's go double check what's been passed. I have no typos. It's expecting cat image, cat name. So I think we should be good. If I do send the response, we should have some insertion. Let's see, send the request. And voila, if you see, you get this. If I go pretty, the new ID was automatically generated by Oracle into the table. We passed name and we passed this. If you still need more proof, let's go ahead. Let's go into SQL browser. Let's go into the categories and let's view the data. You should see it. There you go. What we inserted is there. Let's go back. And let's try something to see when other errors happen, what possibility would cause this kind of errors to happen. For example, when the client, let's say, forgets to pass, let's say, cat image, and I submit, look at the error. This cannot insert null into table categories. The whole message, this whole message is coming from the system SQL error message. And if we never had that, how would anyone know that there's a mistake? Let me go comment this one out. And let's see what happens. That changes. And let's try. See? There's no JSON back. The client which is communicating with you expects a JSON back, and they really would not know what's happening. So that's why it's very critical when you're creating APIs, RESTful APIs in any language, but doesn't matter whether it's Oracle Ords, Oracle Apex Ords. So you have to have a proper communication. The application that's communicating with your REST API knows what the issue is. So if something like this, it didn't even return a JSON, the client application technically will crash and will not know how to handle. It's important. You have it's same way as I'm talking in English is expected in English. You use their client is sending a request in English and you're returning gibberish, maybe in Japanese or Korean or something. The client side will not understand what's happening. So we have to keep the communication protocol as JSON communicating back and forth. So that's how we solve the problem. It's important to write PLSQL blocks and take care of any errors, any forcing errors. So now if I do this and I apply, and let's go back to make it pretty. Let's say this time I'm gonna forget where insert both and I send. See? Cannot insert null into table categories cat name through the first error. It didn't do both, but that's fine. You missed it. So if I go, so I do this, it's gonna throw the error this. If I miss this, I go here. Okay, so that's about it for inserting, doing posts into categories. Now let's go to a post for our products table. So let's get started. As usual, we begin by creating a template because we don't have nothing for products yet. I'm gonna say products. I'm gonna save it. Now that we have our URI set up, do we want to do get, post, put, or delete? As mentioned, this lecture we're dealing with post. I'm going to do post. I'm going to create the handler and I'm going to say post, and I'm going to click. I'm going to paste the code right here. Go over the code that I just created. We create a variable L new ID of type of the type of column name ID in the table product. So it whatever the type is in the column for the database will be this variable will be of that type. Here we are killing L JSON response of type glob. So now we have two variables that we'll be using in this PLSQL block. Here we are doing insert into table products. The values that we want to populate is product name, product image, and category ID. Because remember there's a foreign key relation. We cannot have a product without categories. The category ID. And what I've inserted inside? The bind variable product name, the bind variable product image, and the bind variable product ID. So we haven't created this, so let's go ahead and create them. And once again, the preferred method is passing the data. The client will be passing the data via header. So let's go down. Let's create the first variable. That. Let's click the next one. That. We're just going to do one more thing, the category ID. The client is going to pass the variable as get ID. Expecting the client to pass the image value as product image. We are expecting them to pass as product name. Now those are matched. Access method is just in. We are not returning anything. It's in. Source type, we're going to send it by a header. We're expecting it by a header. We're expecting by a header. Data value for this one is string, data value for this one is string, data value for this one is integer. So we go there. Let's apply some changes. So let's walk through the code. Someone passes product name, product image, ID. Assuming there is no mistakes, this will get auto-filled when someone submits. After, if there's a successful return, the new ID will be inserted into this new variable, lnew underscore ID. If all successful, the code is still going through, it won't jump into exception. From there, we are doing a select. We're creating a JSON object of ID, product name, product image, get ID. The values will be coming from the select statement, which is, let's say, a new ID came as 5. So all this thing will get populated into here. It's directly from tables product. If everything is good, we give a response back in JSON to the client that has made the insertion to the table. And then if there was an error, we would actually come into here. But right now I'm going through use case that there was no error. So client gets a successful response, JSON, that what object was returned is successful, no problems. So let's give it a try. I'm going to apply changes. Hopefully no errors. Let's close my copy this. Go into here. It's going to be a post request. We have this. It has to be prod name. Let's go change it. Name. Let's go check properly. No mistakes. Let's scroll down. Name. Image we are passing through. Cat ID we are passing through. Let's say that is going to be 1. Let's say it's going to be P. PG, but the name is going to be name. Everything looks okay to me. It's paused. We pasted it here. Fingers crossed. Let me make sure I have applied changes. And we're going to put here done. Perfect. No mistakes. It returned the new ID. P name. We did pass P name 1. Product image is P to JPG, and obviously we did this. So let's go check right here. Let's go to table products, set to data, and there you go. As you can see, what we passed through here is exactly what got inserted into the table. Now let's go try to test any error scenarios. I'm going to pass the category ID as 1000. We know that there is no category ID as 1000. Let's go back to object browser, data. As you can see, the only category is 21, 1 to 5. And what we are trying to do in Postman is say insert data, product name P1, image is P1.jpg, and category ID is 1000. When I send it, we get an error, see? And this error, once again, I'm repeating myself, you go back here, so you just understand, it will stick with you if I keep on repeating, is this one. And once again, if I didn't have this, and I commented this one out, we never handled this, I click send. Okay, the communication protocol is broken. Both of them are not talking the JSON language. The client application will just crash because it doesn't know what to do. So that's why, once again, in any RESTful APIs, you have to have the same communication protocol, either XML or JSON. In this case, I'm explaining how to do it in JSON. Let's uncomment our thing back. Let's go back down there, uncommented, apply changes. Let's extend, and we are good. That's about it. You want to try something else? Let's not put the product name. Let's put category ID. Let me just click send. Let's see what happens again. Cannot insert none into product tables, product name. So that's about it. I hope you understood how to do post, how data is inserted into the database, and once again, how critical the communication protocol has to be. You have to make sure that try to cover any errors that you can and respond in a JSON format or XML format, depending what the client needs for a good communication to happen between your REST API and the client application that's requesting the JSON or the XML. That's about it for this lecture. The next lecture we'll be talking about put. We'll do for put for products, and we'll do as well as do product for the category. Hope you learned something new in this lecture, and see you in the next lab.